What's going on, everyone? I'm Teray, and thanks for stopping by Filling the Hole. Join me each week as I sit with guests as they share their experience, strength, and hope on our journey to overcome suffering. Please enjoy this episode of Filling the Hole. What's going on, everyone? This is Teray, and thanks for joining me on another episode of Filling the Hole. With me in the studio today, I have a dear Judy of mine. Lee, how you doing, babe?
I am so excited that you've given me this opportunity to share my story, and I'm just so grateful that you chose me for this episode of Filling Your Hole.
Uh, well, thank you
Or
for being
filling the
here.
hole, baby. I'm grateful for that.
Thank you, thank you. I've been trying to lock you down for months now. Actually, probably closer to a year, and I'm so happy that we're finally, getting the opportunity to do this. So thank you for being here. I guess to inform the children, inform the audience. How do we know each other, babe?
So we met back in, was it 2023?
It was 2023.
Oh my God, it's been a year, yeah, a year. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we
Two.
met back in 2023 at a fabulous facility where we both had the opportunity to go for treatment out in Beverly Hills, California,
Yes.
you know, and not many people that look like us get that opportunity to experience a treatment center such as we met
Hmm.
there while in treatment, and we became good sisters, and from there
Absolutely.
it's been history.
Yes, yes. And I want to thank you already for touching on something I think that is so important for people like us, people of color that don't necessarily get the opportunity that we got. I'll speak for me. I'd look back and I share my story and my experience, and I tell people, I mean, the chances of me landing there before incarceration, before a- any other institution. I mean, I beat the odds. You beat the odds, girl. And it's something that even in your voice, I hear that gratitude, and it's something I'm super thankful for because it could have ended. It could have been a lot different of a story that we're telling today.
The story could have gone so differently. You made a great point. Um, we could have ended up in an institution.
Hmm.
That probably would have been better than ending up dead. You
Hmm.
know, that could have been an option. But we landed on our feet. We were able to seek treatment and in a beautiful facility. I mean, top
Hmm.
notch facility. I'll just say we stayed in a fabulous home of a well known entertainer.
A
Um,
diva, one of the divas,
a
actually.
diva.
If we're
Yeah,
talking about the divas, yes, that was her
yeah.
former home that
It
we
was.
had the luxury of calling our home, for several months while we were
Yeah.
on the mend.
And aside
Yeah.
from the amenities that we shared, we also shared in telling our story and hearing each other's story and being inspired by one another and encouraged by one another to share and be transparent in our interactions. Um,
Yes.
so, yeah, I'm grateful for that.
Yes. Again, you're touching on so many amazing things, and people ask me what was that experience like for you, and what were the moments that things started to click. And a lot of people will speak about the facility that we were at, and everybody has opinions, but for me, the magic sauce what started this podcast, what started me just really starting to get it, was our other brothers and sisters that were sharing their stories so vulnerably, so raw, so powerfully, that it hit me like a house hits a witch. Like it opened my heart, my mind, and I said, this is what is going to be the that key ingredient for me. So again, thank you, baby.
Certainly. Yes, I'm excited.
So yeah, I mean, I know you well. I'm not going to gas you, even though you're not that girl. I could gas you all day, and you would stay as humble. You would stay as humble as you freaking are. But when I think of you, Lee, I think of leadership. I think of compassion. You have this parental guidance about you that people gravitate towards you because you have such an instinct of care and compassion and love, and it's so beautiful, and it's so natural. And I know that anybody that knows you shares these same thoughts, these same opinions. I mean, hell, you were voted house mother how many damn times, week after week, because you just set the tone that everything is going to be okay. Where does that come from? How did you get there?
In recovery, we always talk about service as leading. That leads you and just being of service. And I've always held a servant's heart. I've always been the type of person to place myself before others and just giving. Even when I'm given the short end of the stick, I still give. It's just innate. It's just something that is a part of my DNA. I grew up with a mom who always is giving. I can recall growing up as a kid, we pull up to the stoplight and somebody's homeless on the street. She always went into her purse, even when she didn't have much herself. She always went into her purse and gave. And she always told my brothers and I that you should always, always give. And that's where it comes from. I lead with service. I lead with having a good heart. I lead with placing others before myself.
Hmm.
And to be honest with you, that is what has kept me sober. That is what has allowed me to maintain my sobriety, is being of that service to others. I'm the type of person, when I do it, I don't like to talk about it, or I don't want to brag about it.
Hmm.
But, you know, I was in the freaking Dollar Tree shopping for some little items. And as I walked out the store, I saw this homeless gentleman sitting on the side of the curb. Without hesitation, I went back into the store and I gathered a bag of things that I thought he could use, snacks, drink, water, and things that I thought would be necessity for him. And I brought it to him. And just to see how grateful he was for those little items. I don't have much to
Hmm.
give. I don't have much. I don't have a lot of money, but I still try to give. That
Hmm.
is, yeah, I lead with that.
That is who you are. That is who I know you as. And it's something that immediately makes people feel safe in your presence, that feel comfortable, that feel loved. I mean, that's who you are, and it's so beautiful because I think, unfortunately, there aren't many people in this world that have that innate, natural care and love for others, and it's beautiful. I'm happy to know you. I'm blessed to know you. I call you my sister, and I mean that in every ounce of the word. You are family to me, and I'm just thankful to have you in my life.
I feel the same about you. We learned so much about one another while in treatment. We
Hmm.
learned so much. We became family. We spent 24 hours, 7 days a week,
Ooh.
several months together, enduring highs and the lows,
Absolutely.
and and just being there for one another. It wasn't easy. Yeah, we had days where, oh my God, I don't want to do it today.
Mhm.
But having someone there who's experienced what you've experienced and they offer that support, that's what, drove me to continue and to press forward and to put my best foot forward and share,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but and again, I'm not gonna hype you up, but like you didn't just do that, Lee. You you took it a step further. You punched it into overdrive. I mean, there were days that I can recall that you might not have gotten the best news, or, you were told, okay, we're going to wait a little bit, and, other people got moved up, and you still were able to show up for people, who were in different predicaments. Not going to say worse or better, but maybe not as powerful as a situation as you were in, and you would still show up and be so gracious and supportive. And you are really something special. And I think your mother, who infused that in you, and whatever other guidance you had, that I thank them all, because you truly are an amazing individual. And I'm gonna stop gassing you up now, but I do love you. Tell me,
I love you too.
and thank you, baby. So tell me what it was like. What was Lee like coming up, and how did this insidious, thing come about in your life?
So Lee grew up. He was a vibrant little boy. Lee knew from a young age who he was, and he never shied away from who he was. He was very outspoken. He was um, very outgoing. I was always told that I never met a stranger, so I had that personality even as a boy growing up. Um, of course, life starts lifing for many of
Mm.
us, and things happen. We encounter people, places, and things. And I certainly encountered those people, places, and things. And I've always been a leader.
Hmm.
Um, but I encountered a people, place, and a thing that brought me to a point, a turning point in my life that I never wish to go back. But it is a part of my story, and it has made me who I am today.
Hmm.
Yeah, I got caught up with.
If you don't
Uh,
mind, Lee, if you're comfortable, where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Atlanta,
Okay.
so I grew up in a city that is known for everything. And for a long time, like I've had friends that, growing up, of course, being gay, you have friends that whose parents put them out as a kid or teenager, and they
Hmm.
they they were on
Have
the
to
wrong side of the
survive.
track. They had to
Yeah.
survive. So they did things like stunting checks, and they did boosting, the
Yep.
typical things that
One
you can
has to
relate
do
to. Yeah, one has to do to
to
survive.
survive.
And, you
Yes.
can relate it to the community. But I didn't grow up that way. I grew up in a household where my mom was a single mom for a long time. My father, he was in my life. And it was in and out. But my
Hmm.
father had a history of drug use, so my father had that. I knew that,
Hmm.
um, and not saying that that was the route I was going to take because I went to school, I went to college. I
Hmm.
was very successful, held great jobs, great career.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, I got involved with someone that led me down a path. And at one point in life, I didn't think that I would ever get out, but I was able to survive and get out. So that is what led me to where I am today. That
Yeah.
particular person. And
Can we
I
can
can't
we
blame it on
pause?
them.
Yeah, can we pause there for 1 second? Because you just said something truly powerful that just kind of sent chills through my body, because I can relate so heavily. And it is that sense of, I don't think it is possible to get out. Um, can you touch on that a little bit? And I'll do the same, but just kind of that, facing that sense of reality, because what you believe is reality. And for me, that was my reality. It was like, I don't know how to stop this. I don't know how to get out of this. And this is just going to be me moving forward. Like, what was that
Yeah.
like for you?
Yeah. I grew up in a church too. I grew up going to church and know that, okay, God can help you and God will get you out. But I was at that point where I felt like, oh my God, I cannot get out of this situation. What am I going to do? Um, and I never hit rock bottom, should I say. I never hit. the rock bottom that I've heard others hit. I hit my rock
Yeah.
bottom.
Yeah.
Um, and for me, it was rock bottom. It wasn't the bottom bottom, but it was the rock bottom for me.
Yeah.
Um, but having the courage to take the step and going to treatment, um, that is what really led me out. Once I got to treatment and saw that there were so many other people that were on the same bandwagon that I was on, that was having the same journey as I was having, and to hear their stories, you know, some of their stories were more traumatic than mine, but it's still trauma.
Hmm.
Um,
I
and
say it all the
just
time. I say I don't care if you drown in 6 inches of water or 6 feet of water, you still drowned. And
yeah,
there is no comparing traumas. We all have
yeah,
different experiences. Some of us have shared experiences. None are going to be exactly the same. But what takes us out of life and takes us out of ourselves, girl, that shit hit, and it hits in a way where you don't know if you're ever going to recover. There's not good, there's not bad. It is just what it is.
yeah. But just hearing those stories of success, hearing people tell their stories, that is what really encouraged me and brought me out. But also, I had to take the leap of faith and move from the known and move to the unknown. I had to go from a place of knowing people, places, and things to moving to a place where I didn't know people, places, and things. And
Hmm.
although I took that leap of faith, I remember in treatment, one of the counselors said, where you are, there you be also, or something like that. Where you are, there you are. And basically, wherever you go, wherever I decide to go, there I am. So if I wanted to be consumed by what I did in the past, if I wanted to continue doing what I did in the past, I had that option to do that wherever I went. But for me, moving, it provided me the opportunity to go someplace where no one knows my name, where I can form relationships based off of getting to know who I am. And it was an opportunity for me to just move from the known to the unknown. I think that's what really helped me get out because the situation was situationing. It was it was traumatic for me.
Yeah. And it wasn't gonna stop, if I can speak for myself. Something you just said, it's like getting getting out from that environment that had unfortunately become home for me. Like running the streets, ripping and tearing, like that was my new norm. And I didn't know, I couldn't remember anything else before that. Going to treatment gave me the opportunity to just stop, to pause, to break, to just put it to rest for just a moment where I could collect and gather myself, because Lord knows life was collecting and gathering me every hour, every minute, every second.
Yeah, I can totally relate. But I was living a facade. I was living several masks. I would put
Hmm.
on this mask for work and this mask for, you know, but I wasn't being my true authentic self. But now I'm authentically living and being my true self. And I love where I am. I love the feeling. Do I mourn my past? Yeah, I do.
Hmm.
Uh, did I beat myself up sometimes? Oh my God, did I?
Hmm.
But now I've learned to forgive myself. Lee has learned to forgive himself and to move forward because it's become a part of my story. Now I know the greater purpose is I'm inspiring someone who's just like me, who's going to see me and hear me
Hmm.
and say, oh my God, he did it. I know I could do it. It is possible. It does it get hard? Oh my God, it gets super hard. Do I have
Hmm.
those moments where it's like, okay, just one more time? Yeah, I do. But thank God, he gives me a way out. thank God I have a way out of the situation, even if it's just taking a mindful walk, putting on my shoes and walking and hearing the trucks. Oh, I hear this horn. Oh, listen to the birds. Oh, just seeing the grass on the ground, taking a mindful walk and
Mhm.
being reminded helps me escape those thoughts and those feelings.
And those triggers, right? Like if we're gonna put a name to them, that I think we learned while we were in treatment, those are what some would call triggers.
Yeah.
And you said something again, just really profound. It's like, you know, things things are not going to all of a sudden just get better magically. No, this shit is still hard. This shit it still requires work. It still requires attention. You have to be vigilant because this disease is insidious. We had one of our counselors, she made a film, who I'm talking about, and
Yes.
her metaphor of, my disease is a Navy SEAL doing push-ups in the parking lot while I am resting in bed. And I mean, I can't tell you, like when I heard that for the first time, I- jaw floor dropped. Like it was just like I felt so seen. I felt, and there's something so profound about one person in recovery being able to have a conversation with another person in recovery, that just is so much more powerful than, let's say a normie who's just kind of, they don't get it because they haven't really necessarily walked it or experienced that aspect of life. It's just something so powerful, and even with you, like I can't even tell you how many times you inspired me. I'm like, here Lee is, he's got X, Y, and Z going on in his day. And look how he floats through the day, keeping his head high. And I'm ready to choke, this CM over here because he want to keep playing with me and poking at me and think it's fun and games until, I lose my cool. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to give away my agency today. I'm not going to allow this that power over me. And I think our other sisters, Day, Raf, Zane. It's like y'all held me down, and it was because we had this different experience, but same journey that we were navigating.
Yeah, and there were days where I wanted to choke a sea, but girl, I think you had me beat, sister. But you were so passionate too. You it was always a purpose. It wasn't just because you felt like it that day. It always was a purpose and a reason. Um
I'm so
and you
protective of the people that
yeah,
I care about,
yeah.
and I fell in love with each and every one of y'all. You know what I mean? Maybe not each and every one of y'all. You know what I mean? But I have such a love for y'all, and when said individuals would come around and start poking and fucking with, I'm like, you have the right one today because bitch, I have time, and you're not about to mess with mine. I promise you that.
Yeah, and
Um,
you let it be known, but you always knew how to you will reel it in, and you always came with logic. You always spoke with logic and great reasoning. Um and you I'm sure you inspired many others to speak up for themselves. Um you were vocal, and I appreciate that because I too can be vocal sometimes. Um, but yeah, just learning now to navigate this life and just learning new ways of doing things and new ways of looking at things. It's really about refocusing your mind and changing your thoughts.
how has that journey been for you? Refocusing your mind, changing your thoughts. Like walk me through, kind of what has changed for you that has allowed you, to gain new perspective, to try new things because the old shit wasn't working.
Yeah, what has become so profound right now for me is positive thinking, positive affirmations, you know, um, And for me, each night before bed, I have this YouTube that I listen to, and it's just positive affirmations. I go to bed listening to all of these positive affirmations, um, and just saying them out loud or mentally saying them. It reinforces that change your mindset.
Mm,
And then I try to maintain positivity even when situations look hard, even when things are going rough. I try to find that silver lining, and it's so easy to go to the negative. It's
mhm.
you could go to the negative so quickly. It's so easy to do that, but it takes a little effort and more work to go positive or to think
Yeah,
positive.
so true.
Um, and so I challenge myself to redirect my thoughts and to change that focus. Um, I'm dealing with the situation right now where I'm working to gain my employment back.
Mhm,
Um, and it has taken longer than I expected. And some days get the best of me. My anxiety is like, oh my God, when is it going to happen? But then I have to change my mindset and say, you know what? When God says it's time for me, He's going to make
mm,
sure that I'm ready. Number one, I'm going to be ready for it when it happens. But I also have to think it's all working out for my good. The wheels are
mhm,
turning. Even though I can't see it, even though I may not feel it, the wheels are really turning. Where I started back in August, I started the process of last year.
mhm,
We're moving into April of this year. Um, At times, I felt like the ball was spinning and then it just stopped, came to a standstill. But it's a process, and I've completed many of the requirements to regain that employment. And I've just completed my last requirement. They added two additional things. I completed those things. So where I started to where I am now, I know it's happening.
mm,
I know it's happening. I feel it happening. I feel the wheels are turning. Um, and I'm just remaining positive through it. I'm just
mhm,
remaining focused on my goals. And one of the main ones is to get my job back.
mhm. And I mean, that in its own, you know, I tell you every time we speak, you are a shining example of what it looks like to stay the path. Your dedication, your perseverance, your ability to just see the bigger picture is so inspiring. It really helps me in my moments. All of us, you have a hold on, but you really, really walk the walk. You don't just talk the talk, and it's so amazing that is who you are. And like you said, life keeps life in, you know what I mean, but it's making that conscious decision to say, am I going to feed the narrative? Because it is easy to do. Well, woe is me, well, it ain't working out for me, f this, and fall back into old habits, old patterns, old ways. But you keep pushing through, girl, and it is just so inspiring. Like thank you for fucking being you, because that shit is seen, it is felt, it is acknowledged. Like, I see you. I see you.
Thank you. Those are kind words too. But I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I think it's just about making a conscious decision. Yeah, you can go to meetings, but sometimes meetings are triggering for me. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. Going to a meeting, it can be rather triggering for me. And
Say more on
the
that, please.
it could be the people walking through the door. It could be hearing the stories. It could all of those things are triggering. I'm gonna be perfectly honest. You go to some of these meetings and some of the men that walk through, you're like, oh my God, no. I can't. Like,
Yeah. Thank you for saying that, because one thing that I, in the last year, have kind of felt and has kind of taken me to a place where I need a break is the program preaches meetings, and yes, the meetings are fabulous. The stories, the experiences shared, they're amazing, but sometimes they can be triggering. And I think for a lot of newcomers that are just trying to get their feet wet with recovery and start this journey, it can be discouraging because the older folks in recovery, the people that have been around are like, you need to go to meetings, you need to go to meetings. But for some people, like, I'm going to say it, maybe that's not the best place for you, or maybe you hop on a Zoom meeting because they might be too powerful to be in person and at a meeting. I don't. What I'm trying to say is, I don't want anybody to feel discouraged or that they are less than or less focused on their recovery, because meetings might not necessarily be the safest or smartest place for them. You can still dedicate yourself to recovery and just pick and choose which areas are working for you, because there were some times where meetings were not what I felt like I needed or wanted to be at, but I felt that pressure. Oh, well, you have to go to meetings, you have to. And I'm like, if I'm telling you that I'm triggered going to meetings, and I go to a meeting and all of a sudden now I'm somewhere I shouldn't be, who is that good for?
Yeah,
Nobody.
that is so true. That yeah, you made a great point. Meeting is not for everyone. I do them. Yeah, I do Zooms. I go in person. Um, and part of it is because I have a requirement in order to regain my employment that I have to do these things. But I've also discovered that AA and NA, they're not for everyone.
Hmm.
Um, we like to think that everyone in the meetings have great intent, but
Hmm.
there are some people in there that don't have good intent. And you're a newcomer and you come in, you know, yeah, you can end up in a place or a situation with someone um who you thought had good intentions for you that truly didn't. It's about finding what works for you.
Can I just touch on something that you just very, very appropriately brought up, which is there are some inappropriate people that are in those meetings. When I first got home, the New York Fellowship is right here in my backyard, and that's what I fell into. And very quickly, I realized, oh, LA Fellowship and New York Fellowship are very different fellowships. I had some people that I thought, they approached me, hey, welcome, where are you from? I'm Teray, I'm coming from
Mhm.
LA, my little time away. And, you know, oh, great, great, great. Stick by me. I got you. And 2, 3 days in of hitting meetings together, I find myself feeling very uncomfortable, very almost predatorially approached by said individuals, and I'm like, wow, like, I'm here trying to save myself, and you should know better because you've been doing this for some time. I'm the newcomer, I don't have the know-how and all of the knowledge, and but I'm going into this blindly trusting, and here you are with your own agenda, and it's something that I feel like needs to be spoken about. Not everybody is going to have your best interests, and not everybody is going to be safe. Especially as a newcomer where you don't have a lot of the answers. And just be aware. Be aware of people's intentions. Some people absolutely they're going to go above and beyond out of their way just because they want to see you do well. A complete stranger, and there are also people that will take advantage of that same situation in a complete and total opposite regard.
That is so true. I met a gentleman here in my city who has become like a recovery big sister and has really, really taken to me and um, has fostered a wonderful friendship, encourages me, holds me accountable, you know,
Love that.
because accountability is key. And having that person that you can be open and honest with, yeah, he had great intentions for me. Now, do I still have a guard up when I go to meetings? I do. I keep it
Hmm.
up. Do I give out my number easily? No. I have a Google number. that I give to
until
people,
until after you
and
know who they are.
until after I know who they are,
Hmm.
and if after one or two conversations I get the impression that you're playing the game of sobriety, then I cut off all communications. Yeah, that is my go-to now. I'm not gonna allow you in. Um, I'll keep you at a distance until I feel comfortable, and or once you show yourself to me. Once you
Hmm.
show that to me, yeah, then I have to set my boundary and cut off all communication.
Yes.
Because everyone doesn't have great intentions there.
Yeah, it's so true, and it's the sad part of it, but it's the truthful part of it. This entire podcast is a little bit of a letter to the newcomer and a chance for anybody that feels that they want to share their story can do that freely. And so I'm glad that we touched on that because for the newcomer, that is something that unfortunately has to be on your radar.
It does. And now I'm an old comer. I'm an old girl now in the game. I have a year and let me see, 1 year, and I've never been the counter. I just was like, and somebody was like, no, you should count. And I was like, no, I'm not a counter. But it has been a year and a month. So it will be a year and 2 months um soon. I made 1 year in
Yes.
December. Was the day that I entered treatment, but February was the day that I left treatment.
Hmm.
So yeah,
And I'm so freaking proud of you. Like you are the example of doing it right.
you know, um, Teray, it's a challenge,
Hmm.
and your family, your friends. I went to on a cruise, and I was with family, and they were like, "Have a drink," and I was like, "No, no." Mind you, drinking has never been my thing, but sobriety is sobriety. Um, Drinking was never my go-to. Yeah, I've had a glass of wine. I've done those things in the past, but it was never something that I did on a constant. But have a drink, and I was like, no, I'm sober. And they were like, oh, have a drink. And I was like, no, I'm sober. And I maintain that. Um, so it could come from friends. The
Hmm.
pressure can come from your friends. It can come from your family.
Hmm.
Um, I'm not going to disown my family, and I'm not going to count my friends out. I just know for me, I have to stand strong in what I'm working towards and what I'm doing.
Yes.
Uh, Now,
Yeah.
if it becomes a constant, and you're constantly nagging me about having a drink as a
Mm.
friend,
Then
yeah,
you don't
then
have my best interests.
I'm gonna have to re-question our friendship and distance myself from that. Does that mean I
Yeah.
love you any less? No, I love you. I still love you. You're still my friend. It's just a friend from a distance.
Hmm. Yeah, because not everybody can relate and not everybody knows, what this journey looks like. And, I don't ever want to punish somebody for ignorance, and I will not, and I will try to educate to the best of my ability. But if ignorance pushes past, just that, and it becomes, now I feel like I have to be on guard. Well, yes, it's going to make me reevaluate your intentions and what this relationship looks like. My dad, love my dad to death. He is he's just a happy guy, but like, several times at one of his cookouts, oh, you want a drink, Ray? And I'm like, no, Dad, don't do that anymore. Like, oh yeah, 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 my bad, my bad. And hour later goes by, we run into each other again, over by the grill. Oh, grab your drink. And I know that it's not malicious. It's not him, trying to set me up for failure or being funny. My dad is he's that I want everybody to have fun, but it takes some adjusting for the people that are in our lives that we care about to just recognize what we're doing and the changes that we're making.
That is so true. Yeah, I hold myself accountable. I take accountability. Can I control every environment? No. Can I control every person? No. when an environment shifts, what I can do is remove myself from that environment. When a situation shifts, yeah, I can refocus, recalibrate, and let me shift myself. Let me shift. When the energy changes in a room, when the energy shifts, yeah, instead of me spiraling out, I can remove myself. That way I could save my sobriety and holding myself accountable and
Mhm.
just removing myself from the situation. No, you don't. If you want to smoke your weed, you can do that. Hey, I can't control that, but what I can control is me.
Yep.
And once you're done, girl, come back and we can talk it up, chop it up, and laugh and everything. But I'm gonna remove myself from that situation while you're doing whatever you do because I don't want to be triggered or put in a situation where I feel like, oh my God, I need to do it. I gotta do it. I don't want to be in
Mhm.
I don't want to be in that position.
Yeah, it's exactly what you said. It's people, places, and things, and I just love that. It's so simple. It's so boiled down. But people, places, and things, I don't have control over. You know who I have control over? What I have control over? Me, myself, my actions, my decisions, my thoughts, and I barely have control over them. Sometimes I just got to let them just be what they're going to be, and then say, okay, well, that was cute. Now this is what I'm going to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
You
but
made
we
a
can.
huge point. That was a huge thing when you what you just said. Acknowledging that. Hey, yeah, I feel this. Oh my God, I feel it. I'm acknowledging it. But you know what? I'm not gonna act on it. This is what I
Mhm.
am gonna do.
Yes, and that has been something that I am still right now, at this minute, this second, like learning, trying to fully understand. And I am not my thoughts. My thoughts are not me. You know, I was just having this conversation with Alex. Alex, my husband, and
Yes.
and we had a conversation, and actually it was inspired by we were watching RuPaul's Drag Race, who that bitch has collected the coins from the program because she has mopped every saying, every phrase, but but it hits so true. And when you hear somebody else that has walked this walk and that has started or is doing the work, we see each other. There are words, there are phrases, there's even a smirk that you can tell, oh, this bitch right here is bettering themselves and in recovery. And like we see each other, we find each other. And I
Yeah.
forget what. Sorry, go ahead.
And RuPaul, I look to RuPaul.
Yes.
RuPaul is sober.
Yep, for the last 25 plus years, and she said something to one of the queens, because that Inner Saboteur came out. And I love that she talks about this so freely, so openly each season. She said that Inner Saboteur is going to be it's going to be there. It's going to be there forever. Maybe one day it might not be, but just don't plan on it. And just, it's going to be there. And what you have to do is acknowledge and say, uh-huh. I hear you. Okay. And instead of fighting or pushing or ignoring, it's just that acknowledgement of, okay, well, I don't believe or think that in my right mind, but what did Whitney say to Diane? I could see how you could believe that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can see
Yeah.
how you could believe that. And then keep it pushing. Don't get stuck there. Acknowledge it and move on and go into that higher sense of self or that higher belief in yourself where it's like, well, that doesn't define me. And I'm about to put forth in this world what I do want to be defined as.
We talk to ourselves more than we talk to anyone in this world.
Hmm.
People may not acknowledge that, but we have conversations with ourselves more than we talk to anyone. We talk to ourselves more than anyone.
Yes.
So, what am I telling myself? What am I telling myself? Even when you're on the street and you see someone and you're like, oh, look at those, look at that, what she's wearing, or oh my God, those are little conversations with yourself. But what are you telling yourself about yourself? You
Yes.
know, that goes back to those positive affirmations. I constantly, I am loved, you know. I am valued. I have something to offer this world. And you say it to yourself enough. If someone tells you something more than once, eventually you're going to start believing that person. You're going to be like, you know
Hmm.
what? I think there's some truth to that. So, what are you telling yourself? I just try to constantly feed myself good thoughts, good things, positive things. Um, I know that I have so much to offer. I know that I'm not just a decent person, I'm a great person, I'm a good person, I have a wonderful heart. I know those things and I constantly remind myself of those things. But I also live that in my actions and in my deeds to others. I try to live that and be examples to to other people. You
Hmm.
know, I'm not the only one struggling. I'm not the only one walking around here struggling with things. Um, I had a friend said everybody has something. Everybody does something. She was like, whether it's drinking, whether it's doing drugs, whether it's smoke, whatever. She was like, everybody has something. And that something could be those negative thoughts that you're thinking to yourself.
Hmm.
Everyone has something. Everyone has a vice. It's
Hmm.
something. It's just about how you're overcoming those vices and what messages and what are you saying to yourself.
I love, love, love that, Lee. That's something that I think I need to improve on is that positive self-talk with myself and affirmation. Um, yeah, that's something that thank you for bringing light today to, and I'm definitely going to after we get off of this, I'm going to go and do some mirror work where I'm building myself up because Lord knows I can tear myself down quicker than I can spit. So thank you.
Certainly.
I guess that kind of leads me into not my last question because we could talk all day, girl. You know I love you, but because you are steering, I'm not gonna say if you stay the track because bitch, you are doing it, and it is so inspiring. But as you stick to the path, what's on the horizon for you, babe?
What is on the horizon for me? I've developed daily routines. You know, I have to I have to move through the day with intent and purpose. Lead with good intentions and have purpose within the day. So I develop a daily routine that I do every single day, and that includes before I even step foot out of bed, I meditate and pray and thank God for another day, another shot at this thing called life. After that, I stretch and exercise and breakfast and just the daily routines of things like that. Um, but what is on the horizon is I've got my sense of purpose back.
Mm.
Like I said earlier, life has been lifing. Have I ever been in a situation like this? No. I've always held wonderful jobs. I've always had funds to do whatever I wanted to do. If that was to get on a plane and go to New York for a weekend or whatever it is that I wanted to do, I always had the means to do that. But now I'm learning to budget. I'm learning to be grateful. I'm learning to lead with purpose. And I feel like I've gotten myself back. I feel like um, there were things that I wanted to accomplish. I had goals prior to um, me going to treatment. I had goals, I had dreams, I had aspirations, and all of that stuff has come back. It never went away. It was just suppressed for a minute. But now I'm rethinking those things and I'm revisiting how am I going to make this happen? I had a beautiful conversation with a friend over the weekend that reached out to me and he was like, "You left Atlanta and now you're an Atlanta boy, but you left and you never came back." He was like, "I was thinking of you." And I was like, "Oh, thank you for thinking of me." But he shared with me that, I had a dream that I wanted to pursue prior to recovery and treatment. And he was like, get back to that dream. Find someone who is doing what you want to do. So I say that to anyone listening. If there are dreams and things that you want to accomplish, they are still there. They may be lying dormant, or they may be overshadowed by life circumstances, but they are still there. They never left. Rediscover them and position yourself to accomplish them, whether that is moving away or finding someone who is in the field that you're trying to go in, or whatever you're trying to do. Find someone that has accomplished what you want to accomplish and align yourself with that person. Um, and that's what I'm doing right now. I'm aligning myself with my purpose. Um, and purposes and they shift. Like before, I never would have thought that I would be speaking to someone on recovery. I never would have thought that I would be telling my story to someone, but there is purpose in that. There is a reason behind it. And I know that my story will inspire future people to come. Um, and so now I have a different outlook. I was like, yeah, I wanted to go back to school, and I'm still thinking of those things. And it's like, now do I want to go back to school for psychology? Do I want to go back to school for counseling? Because I do have a love for people. I do have a love for helping people. Um, yeah, so I'm just rediscovering my purpose and my dreams and moving forward in those things. And the main thing right now is getting my job back.
Hmm.
I'm gonna get that. That's gonna happen. It's
Yes.
going to happen, and I'm already moving in intent with that happening. And when I say that, I'm doing things like, um, I had to renew a document. I ensured that I had that done, and I'm just moving and aligning myself with my return to work.
Mm. I love, love, love everything that you just said. And it's not going to happen, it is happening because you are doing. You're doing it right now. You are again a shining example of what it is to make the necessary changes to change circumstances. Like there's not, it's going because you're already doing, Lee. Like I see it. You inspire me. You inspire so many people, and just thank you so much for all of that. Just inspiration you just dropped. Thank you.
No, I'm just grateful that you chose me to do this podcast with you today. Nothing happens by accident. Nothing just happens. It is all a divine plan and purpose behind it. And I'm so proud that you're doing this. You are giving voice to so many people that lost their voice. You are giving voice to so many people that are afraid to even share their story. You're giving voice to those people. And I'm just grateful that you saw me and you thought that I had something to give to your audience. And I'm super, super grateful. And I'm so proud. I'm so proud of you. And I want you to continue in this effort, because you're bringing awareness. You're bringing huge awareness. And this is a whole nother platform. This is a whole different level of awareness that you're giving someone. And so I'm grateful that you chose me.
Thank you, baby. Thank you. And listen, this isn't me. You speak about a calling, you speak about purpose, you know, after our rehabilitation, like this God, universe, whoever, whatever you want to call it, pulled me and said, this is what I want for you. This is what I want you to be doing. And I'm a vessel. It is people like you who come on to this podcast and share so freely, so honestly. Um, I am simply just conducting, and what you come on here and do is really where the magic is. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, you continue being that vessel, because you're going to inspire so many other people to share and to seek sobriety. There are so many people in the world that's hungry for it, but they don't know which way to turn. And, we had an opportunity that many people that look like us will never, ever, ever experience
Mhm.
in life. I mean, from the amenities to the dining to the sessions,
The
there are so many
knowledge.
people, the knowledge, they will never have those experiences. They'll never get late night snacks. They'll
Oh my
never,
God.
they'll
How
never,
how have we gotten this far without talking about late night snacks? Oh
they'll
my God.
never, they'll never get late night snacks and those
Lee,
conversations.
Lee, Lee, Mama Lee is what we're gonna call Lee in this moment because late night snacks was whatever we ate during the day. Lee would get any leftovers, anything from lunch, breakfast, dinner, and whip up a late night snack, which usually just consisted of everybody on campus coming together for whatever Lee was whipping up in that kitchen. And oh my God, you are beyond. Yeah, when I think of you, babe, I think of community, and I'm not talking about that frying pan. I'm just saying community. All right, you are the definition of community. Let it be known.
Yeah, people are not going to have that opportunity to have a late night snack and to sit around and
Mm.
share stories and a game of Phase 10 with a friend
Oh my God, you're
and
taking
hear
me
their
back right now.
struggle. They're not going to get that opportunity. So we've been afforded an opportunity that no other person will ever get in life. Was it
And
vacation? Hell no. Was it day camp, summer camp? I think not. Um, but was it something that was needed? Yeah, it
yes.
was. It was a reality check. It was a, girl, let me wake you up and shake you. This is your reality. And I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful.
Me too. I'm thankful to know you. I'm thankful for our shared experience, and I'm thankful to call you my sister. And whatever this journey looks like moving forward, knowing that I have you in my corner, and vice versa, babe.
I'm your biggest cheerleader. I am your biggest cheerleader. And when you put the panel together and have us all sit down and share our experiences, I want to be one of those panel members. I want to sit on the panel.
Absolutely, absolutely. You crazy if
Uh,
you? I don't care where in the world you are. You crazy if you think you're not going to be there.
Yeah, I want to do that because you're bringing light to something that so many people are facing and they just don't know how they're going to get out. Just like I thought, oh my God, how am I going to get out?
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
and it is our responsibility to give back, which was so freely given to us. Not freely, but it was given to us, and
no,
I
it wasn't
think,
free. It
yeah,
wasn't free. You know,
in some ways we paid in other ways.
we did, but wasn't an experience that I would never change it for anything in
I
the
couldn't,
world.
I
The
couldn't.
people that I met, I made true friends there, lifelong friends, friends that I know have experienced what I've experienced, and can speak to what I'm struggling with. Um, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.
Yeah, same, babe, same. Well, I love you so freaking much, and
I
I'm
love you
so
too.
thankful that we finally got to do this. I've wanted this for
Yes.
a year now, so thank you for
This
making
was
the
a
time.
wonderful conversation. I mean, this was amazing.
This was, and I know it's going to hit the right ears that need it because you know what? It's the message, and it just will, it will. So, thank you so much, Lee. I love you, baby.
Thank you. Thank you for having
I'll
me. Love
talk
you
to you
too.
soon. All right, bye bye.
Yes. Bye.